Hello everyone, my name is Long. Welcome to my webinar, How to Buy Your Dream Home in 2022. I'm sorry, 2023. I know a lot of you thinking of buying a house right now in 2023. And for some reason, that is not a topic that a lot of people are doing on a daily basis, right? So I just want to do this as a introduction to you if you are thinking about buying a house in 2023, in this webinar, in this video, we are going to talk about the overall process of buying a house. We are going to talk about how you can identify good property versus bad property. We also talk about how you can come up with the money with the down payment as well as the loan options for you also. Lastly, we are going to talk about the overall process in terms of making an offer, how to complete a transaction, right? The things that you have to follow to make sure that you follow the exact terms and condition in a contract. So let's just dive right into the presentation. All right. This is the first thing that I want to talk about is the ideal home buying process. And in an ideal situation, you're gonna have 5 steps in total. Okay, this is kind of a high level of what the process looks like, and then we are going to go deep into each individual step to reveal to you what you have to do in each step as well. Number one is the preliminary research. Okay, so this is just high level research that you have to do on your own, or getting getting some support, getting some information from an expert like a realtor or someone in your family already have the experience of buying a house. Okay. After that, the next step, you're gonna go to the identify the source of finance. How are you gonna come up with the down payment? How much do you need for the down payment, right? And then also, if you are just like other people, right? A lot of people are taking on mortgage on their house, so we have to look at some option of the loan options as well as what kind of loan options that you have, what kind of the down payment program that you may qualify for, okay, government support program that you may qualify for, right? Those sort of things we're going to talk more about in step number 2. Next one is actually the house hunting process. This is actually the most exciting step, right? We are looking, every buyers, as far as I know, looking to spend the majority of their time in this step, because that is actually the step where you are going to go to the market to look at the houses and then see whether you like them or not, right? Compare between option number 1 versus option number 2, right? So those are the things that we are going to do in step number 3 here. The next step is that after you find a property that you are interested in, we are going to make an offer, and if you are lucky, then if we are lucky, right, we can get you under contract. And what does the process look like? What does the under contract process look like? So we are going to talk about that as well. Next is a closing process. After we finish the transaction, after we do everything that we need to transfer the title to us, what do you have to do as a new homeowner? So those are the 5 high level steps of the ideal home buying process. Okay, so let's dive right into the step number 1, which is the preliminary research. Okay, so there's 3 things that you have to do a research when you start thinking about buying a house, right? First of all, I think, which is a very important step, is to identify how much of the house you can afford, because you don't want to buy a house that will become a bothersome for you in the future, financially, all right, and then physically as well. Why do I say physically? For example, if you buy a too big house, then you have to spend a lot of time in terms of cleaning, maintenance them, right? Because the house is not like one time at all, one time and then that's it, right? You have to do something to maintain the property in a good working condition, right? Those are physical. And then financially as well, if a too big house for your family, then the price is going to be higher, right? And then you're going to be in, if you take on a mortgage, you're going to be responsible for the monthly payment of the mortgage as well. So those type of things we have to identify clearly of how much you can afford. All right. This one, I think the best way to do this is to seek out to, if you take on a mortgage, to seek out to a loan officer or a real estate agent like me, so that we can, like, based on the income information, based on the debt information, that based on the credit information as well, I can give you, a real estate agent can give you a high level overview of what you can support. Okay. Generally though, I mean, at the minimum, this is going to be a recommendation. It's not a must. Okay. It's not a must. 25% of the take-home income. If the monthly payment is less than 25% of the take-home income, then you guys should be comfortable with that house, with that amount. Okay. So if you have any question about how to determine that number, contact me directly so that I can give you more explanation. But step number 2 is actually identify an ideal neighborhood. When you already have the range of the price of the house that you are comfortable with, okay, you can base, let's say 400 to 500, right? Let's say, for example, then you can look at, okay, here's the list of the neighborhoods that I want to live in. I want to live in Scottsdale. I want to live in Dobson Cove in Dobson, in Chandler. I want to live in Cobalt Cove in Glendale, for example, right? You have the list. And then those are the ideal neighborhood that you can have. Okay. And then the next thing is, because we don't want to spend time on going all over the valleys, all right? Because that's going to wasting your time, because there's going to be plenty of houses on the market, especially right now, 22,000 houses available every single day on the market at this time. Okay. And so you don't want to spend like the whole day, a whole month, a whole year to look at every single houses, right? We have to filter down the area that you are most convenient with. This could be a location, a neighborhood that is close to your friends or your families, right? I used to live in Glendale and I moved to Chandler for that exact reason, because I want to closer to the families, to the friends who live in Chandler, Gilbert, in the East Valley area. Okay, or it could be closer to job location. Ideal is having an ideal neighborhood is a lot of means a lot of different things to different people. It could be location. It could be the condition of the neighborhood. It could be the value of the neighborhood. Right. So you have to identify what is the ideal neighborhood looks like to you. Okay. Well, basically, we are looking for the location that is ideal for you to purchase the home. Okay. The next one is the list, is the must-have list. Okay. I'll create a wish list and a must-have list. Now be very careful and then distinguish between the two lists, right? Because the wish list can be anything, okay? Can be anything, but you do have to identify the must-have list. And I really highly recommend it to have that must-have list first. Okay, because if you're thinking about the wish list first, okay, then every single item on the wish list is gonna belong to the must-have list. But have the conversation with your partner, with your spouse, to see what are some items that is absolutely a must for the family. Or if you buy a home individually, right, you can consult with a real estate agent as well to see whether that is an appealing feature of the house or not. For example, right, if you have a family of 4, a marriage couple and 2 children, right, then you probably need a minimum of 3 bedrooms house, right? Or you may, because your child is too young, 1 or 2 years old, then you can share the master bedroom with them, then you only need 2. Right? It really depends on the situation of the family to determine what is the must-have list. But I always recommend that list needs to be filled out first before you think of the wish list. The wish list could be something like, okay, I wish that the house is newer. for example, right? The newer is a very relative term. It could be 2000, 1990, okay? But at least put something there, okay? I wish the house has a pool, all right? You don't need necessarily to have the pool, but it's nice to have feature so that you can enjoy the backyard and things like that with friends and families, okay? So distinguish the two, but complete the must-have list first so that you don't put every single items on the wish list to the must-have list, all right? So that is the preliminary research. I put a very fancy terms there, but it's basically looking is a meeting between you, your partner, and your spouse, right? Whoever buy the house together with you to determine what is some what is that we want, how much we want to pay every month, where is the location that we want to buy, and what are some kind of features of the house that we need, that we want. Okay, so those are the things, like your own, right? Your own research. Well, I mean, as a real estate agent, I can always suggest you some of the ideal location for your situation, or some of the ideal features for your family, right? But at the end of the day, you are the one that making all of those decisions. So spend time with your spouse, your partners, to talk about this. And then come up with a list of things, a report, right? A report for your research, so that you can use that as a foundation for the following steps. Okay, the next step is to identify the source of finance. Okay, now most of you, if you're gonna be very similar to other people buying a house nowadays, is to take on a mortgage, right? So, as far as the mortgage, we don't have to worry about the loan options yet. Okay, why is that? Because we already know how much we can afford in step one, right? We already know that. So from that information, we can find out that how much you have to have for the down payment. And I think the slide missing a very important information, in which is the closing cost as well. Okay, the down payment, ideal down payment is 20%. So for example, if you buy a $400,000 house, 80,000 is the minimum amount that you need. Okay, if you buy a $500,000 house, $100,000 is the minimum that you need. Now, that is an ideal number. Okay, now you don't have to, okay, depend on the loan program, which we're gonna discuss later as well. You may have put in only 3, only 5, or only 15 or 10, any number percent of the purchase price that you can afford for. The only downside is that for a lower than 20% down payment, you have to pay something called the premium mortgage insurance, which is the insurance to protect the lender. Now, here's the thing: you pay someone to protect someone else, right? That insurance is not to protect you, but it's to protect the lender company in case you don't make the monthly payment. Okay, so that is a very the down payment. Okay, that is safe for the down payment. Where do you have that? So when you have that number in mind, you can find out exactly how many months we need to come up with that number. For example, you already save up $50,000. You already have $50,000 in the bank, right? Then for another 30,000, you're gonna have 80,000 for the 20% down of the $400,000 house. Then you probably need maybe a year or two, right? Depend on the income as well. So the reason why I want to talk about this, the down payment and the closing cost, is that is actually the very first step that you should do. Okay, because without that, you may not be able to qualify for the loan. So why we have to go to the next step if this step we haven't done yet? Okay, so that is very important. Okay. So I would say identify, talk to a real estate agent to say, okay, how much does it cost for you to buy a house in the ideal neighborhood with the ideal must-have list that you come up with in step number 1, right? And then they can give you a suggested number in terms of how much you need to have as a down payment as well. Okay, we can talk about that if you have any specific question about the down payment also. The next step is identify the loan options. Now, generally, there's a lot of loan options out there on the market. We are talking about a conventional loan, an FHA loan, right? Those are the very typical, it's called traditional loan options for the regular buyers. There are also some options like the VA loan for the VA only, right? And then and then the I forget. Okay, and then the hard money loan as well. It is mainly for the investor. You don't want to talk about the investor options if you buy a house for yourself, because the investor loan option is normally has a higher interest rate and require you to make a higher down payment as well. So if we are thinking about buying the first dream home in 2023, I think the three options that we can look at is the conventional loan, FHA loan, and then the VA loan if you are the VA. Okay. Now, FHA is normally a lot of people thinking this is only for first-time home buyer. Yes and no. Okay. That's only FHA only require you to not having a house for the last 3 years. So as long as you do not own any other houses for the last 3 years, you should be good to have FHA. For example, you bought a house in 2018, for example, and then you sold it. Okay, you sold a house in 2018. Now, 2019, 2021, 2022, you more than welcome to take FHA as well, even though the house that you buy in 2022 gonna be the second house, right? You should still be able to qualify for FHA if you haven't if you don't own any houses, any other houses for the last 3 years. Okay. Next one is get pre-approved. Okay. So based on the down payment, this is the reason why I put this one last and the safer down payment first, because as a part of the pre-qualification, the pre-approval from the lender, they're gonna ask you where's the source of the down payment. Where do you have that down payment? So if you already have like saving in a bank account, okay, saving in a stock account, for example, not retirement account, okay, I don't recommend you to withdraw the money from the retirement account, because you basically borrow against your own money, and then you have to pay interest and tax on that money. That doesn't make sense, right? That's your money. You're supposed to be able to get it without paying any fee to someone else. So, so I don't recommend that option, right? It rather is you have the saving in your bank account, you have in a stock account, right? Personal stock account, right? You don't borrow from the retirement account, or it could be the source from a gift from a family member, from a friend. Okay, so whoever willing to give you the down payment. So when that step is done, the pre-approval process is one checkbox already. Right? You don't have to worry about that checkbox. You can answer to them right away. Where's the source of fund? Okay, fund. And during that process, you're gonna be asked a lot of information about your income, your debt. Some of the company are required to run a soft credit check, which is highly recommended, by the way, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And not a lot of people check their credit report very often. You think that you don't have any surprise debt, but a lot of buyers comes to me, and when we pull a soft credit check, they're like, where's this loan from? They have no idea that they put a lien into the report as into your name as well. So it's if a company that give you a pre-qualification without doing a soft pull credit check, it may not be, they may not see the full pictures unless they already know you for a long time. They know your financial situation. Then it's a different story. But if you're a first-time home buyer, it is highly recommended to get pre-approval from a lender who pull a soft credit check for you. Okay. Now, when you get pre-approved, that means you already have the down payment down. You already identified the loan options that you want to go with, right? Then you get the pre-approval. Now you have basically everything that you need, all the money that you need to go buy houses. So we're gonna go to the next step. To step number 3 is the house hunting process. Okay, house hunting process. Step number 1, right? I would not recommend anyone to go buy a house by themselves. Now, this is not because I am the real estate agent and I say that. Even me, when I bought the house at the beginning, I like my very first house back in 2019. I'm sorry, 2016, I still have to have an agent because I don't know. I don't know what to do, right? Like, okay, I gotta go buy a house, but how? Right? But how? Where do I start? And what is the process look like? Who's gonna open the door for me? I actually didn't think of that option, that question, right? But where do I get started? So I just contact with one of my mentor, who is also a real estate agent as well at that time, to help me out buying a house. Okay, now why not? Why not use real estate agents, right? Because here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do in nowadays market, right? You can go shopping for houses online, Zillow.com, Realtor.com, Redfin.com, or even Google, right? Every single houses are posted on the internet. Okay, so you can see that houses in pictures. But then at the time, when the time comes when you want to check out in person, how can you do that? And some of you might think, okay, I'm gonna use the listing agent because you Google, you do a research on Google and say that is better in terms of getting accepted by the listing agent, by the seller. Yes and no. Here's the thing though. I know it's really depend on the person as well. Basically, if you do that, first of all, the listing agent is actually working for the seller first. Their first interest is the seller, okay, not working for you, because they are the one that the seller has the contract with the listing agent first before they know you, before the agent knows you, right? So they're working for the seller first, and then you later. Do you want a second position or you want a first position in a relationship? I would think that you want the first relationship, right? So you want some agent on your side to fully protect you, to work for you, to be able to protect you in any situation happens in the future. The secondly is that even if you contact the listing agent for that house, right, there's still a chance that you don't get accepted on your offer, right? It doesn't mean, like, for example, if a house asking for 500 and then you say, yeah, I'm gonna work with the listing agent and I'm gonna offer 400, and you're gonna be automatically accepted. No, it's not the case. You still have a chance to not be accepted as well by the seller. Okay. So for that situation, when you go see, okay, if you fail that contract and then you go to another house, will you gonna talk to that second listing agent, or you have to repeat the same information? Because all the agents, when you come and tell them that you want to buy the house, they're gonna ask you about, do you have the down payment? Do you have the pre-approval? What is your contact information? Can I send you more houses? Do you want to see other houses on the market and things like that? Everyone is going to say the exact same thing, right? So if you go to this agent and then that agent and then the third agent and the fourth agent, you have to basically answer the same question every single time. Instead, if you have your own buyer agent, you only say all the information once to that buyer agent, right? To that buyer agent. So you don't have to repeat the same information already because they already know what you're looking for. Right? So fire a real estate agent, but don't stop at that, okay? Interviews agents, and now I'm saying agents, right? Because not all the agents are going to be the same. Because for the matter of fact, the way that they get the license, the agent get the license is super easy. They get a 90 hours education from school, right? And then they take a test, two tests actually, school and then state, okay? Then if they pass, they basically can work as an agent. But not everyone has the same experience, right? Obviously, the one who is in the field 10 years, or 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, gonna have more experience than the one just graduated from the school, right? Your cousin could be a newly graduated agent as well. But is that person gonna be able to help you to negotiate the best deal for you, to identify the house, to identify the problem in the house when you are under contract, right? I don't know, right? Maybe he has a really good background. He or she can have a very good background and then can help you out, right? That's why I'm saying interview different agents to see who you want, who do you think that have the most experience, and also who do you like the best, who do you want to work with, who do you feel comfortable to discuss financial situation, your family situation, because basically that is a relationship until you identify the house, right? And it's not an easy process, believe me. Some people looking for houses, some buyers that I help looking for houses for more than a year, right? Some people only 1 week, some people a year, 6 months, okay? So it's a long-term relationship. You have to trust that person has to trust you. Okay, interview the agents and identify the one that is best for your situation. And now the next step is actually the house hunting process. This is the most exciting one, because you know what? This is when everything fun, all the conversation happening, in which you're gonna talk to the agent, you're gonna talk to your partner, you're gonna see houses, you set up schedule, right? This is the most busy time. This step alone can take a very long time. Okay, these could take a couple of weeks, 1 or 2 weeks for you to do so, and then this one could take, like I said, somebody take a year, somebody takes 6 months, and somebody take a week. Okay, make an offer. All right, after you go see a lot of houses right here, right, you're probably gonna see 1 or 2 that you are interested in. Then you can make an offer. During this process right here, you're basically gonna work with your agents, with your chosen agents, to identify the best option for you to make an offer. Now remember, there's 3 things there's a lot of things that you have to be aware, and then your agent probably gonna discuss with you in more detail. But I think for me, from my experience, the most important that a lot of buyers ask about is the purchase price, the closing date, and how much time does the buyers have to do the inspection. Those are the 3 most important questions that a lot of people ask me when we start discussing about the offer, right? How much is that fair? Is that too high, or is that too low? Okay, and then that's the purchase price. And then how much time do I need to do the inspection? How much time do I have? How many days do I have to the completion of the transaction? Right? Those are the things that we need to discuss when we make an offer right there. Okay, that is house hunting. Now, let's say you get accepted. Okay, get accepted from one of the contract, and here you go. We are under contract with the seller. The terms under contract means, and when you're making an offer, it doesn't mean that you get accepted right away, right? It could be a lot of back and forth, back and forth, right? Negotiation between you and the buyers. When I say you, is technically the buyer's agent and the listing agents, right? Between the 2, and then it's probably fail offer number 1, fail offer number 2, and get accepted for offer number 3, for example. Yeah. So when we're under contract, it's a 4-step process to finish a contract. Okay. Number 1, you have to pay the deposit and open escrow. Okay. First of all, the deposit. Now here's the thing: when the seller is under contract with you, with the buyers, they cannot accept any other offers unless the buyers has contingency on the sale of the buyer's house. But we are talking about the situation that you buy your dream home, your first home in 2023. So when the seller is under contract with you, they basically cannot say, hey, I'm sorry, I cannot move forward anymore. I'm gonna cancel, right? They cannot do that without any consequences for them. Okay. For the buyers, though, so basically for the seller, they do not have the time, and the property is going to be pulled off the market. Nobody can do that anymore. Nobody can see the house available anymore, right? So that's lose time of them on the market. As far for the buyers, you still have to do the appraisal. You still have to do. We'll talk about that later as well. You still do other stuff, okay? And then it's going to take at the minimum 30 days, or maybe some lender can work within 3 weeks. Okay. And then who knows, in that period, you can cancel anytime. You can cancel. And if you don't make the honest deposit, then you don't basically lose anything. Okay. So the deposit right here is very critical to show how serious you are to the contract, is because you have a chance to lose that deposit. Okay. If you follow the terms and the condition correctly, by the suggestion of the buyer's agents, your real estate agents, the chance that you get back the deposit is high. But if you don't follow it, if you don't have someone who protect you, consider you as a first priority, then you can lose that money. Okay, you can lose that money. It could be 1% of the purchase price. For example, $400,000 house is going to be 4,000, things like that. Okay, and then open escrow. Escrow company is a mutual company that can basically open the contract, right? And then they are kind of a third party, and then they can get the money from the buyers, okay, and then confirm the title from the seller is good, right? Confirm that the seller is the owner, the legal owner of the house, right? And then when everything done, they can transfer the money to the seller and then transfer the title of the home to the buyers. Okay, so that's escrow company. And then again, this next step, when you open an escrow, everybody know, the lender already know about your accepted contract, right? We're gonna work on the inspection and the appraisal. And inspection is basically the physical check of the condition of the house. Okay, there's a general inspection and specialized inspection. Okay, as the first-time home buyers, as a buyers, I always recommend you to do the general inspection at the minimum. Okay, because that person gonna look at the house in a very fresh eyes, in a very details. They have the procedures of what they need to check, right? Every single detail, the plumbings, the appliances, the AC, the water water softener, water heater, everything. They have to check everything to make sure that, and then tell you the condition, okay? And then if the condition is unknown, then they gonna recommend you for a specialist. For example, the pool is leaking, but obviously they cannot know a detail of how it leak, right? So they're gonna recommend a pool guy, a specialist, the pool specialist, so that they can help you out. Appraisal is to determine the value of the house. Okay? Appraisal is to determine the value of house. It is normally required by the lender. Okay? One thing to note: this is required by the lender. It's not required by the by you. Okay, if you don't want to, you don't have to do the appraisal. But if you take on the mortgage, the majority of the time they're going to require an appraisal to make sure that the purchase price is not too high compared to the market value. Okay, that is the purpose of the appraisal. The next step is to finalize the loan document. When you complete the inspection and the appraisal confirm that the purchase price is good, right? And you will want to submitting all the documents requested by the loan officer so that you can complete the loan, get approved, and then the lender is gonna give you the money. Last, wrong way. Next one is when you have the loan approval, then you can transfer the remaining down payment, right? Because remember, this is only the deposit, only 1%, okay? You transfer the remaining money, including the closing costs and the remaining down payment. If you down 20%, that means you have to do another 19%, right? And then you have to sign the paperwork with title. Okay? This is the under contract process. So, as far as for the closing process, right? Don't forget, right? After you finish the previous step, you sign the document, you transfer all the money, a recording, and then you become the homeowners. Okay. Now, here I put this step in the closing, transfer utilities. This is actually the first step, right? Before you actually sign the contract, before you actually sign the paperwork. Why is that? Because sometimes the utilities company can act very fast, but sometimes they take some day, especially over the weekend for water, right? They don't work Saturday and Sunday. So if you want to do that on Friday, what if you close on Friday? So you probably don't have water on Saturday and Sunday, and that's fine if you don't have to move into the house immediately, right? But if you do have to move, then you have to turn on those utilities very quickly, and sometimes you have to pay extra for that as well. So arrange this before the closing to make sure that everything is set for you to move in. next one is to move in, right? Talk about moving. We're gonna set a date to move in, and of course, the next step is celebrate. I am a very big fan of having celebrate for the house, for the new house, right? So this is an awesome occasion. I highly recommend this for you to do some kind of celebration, having fun with the friends, with the families, with the child, the children, and things like that, spouse, and things like that. And the next step is more celebration, celebration and celebration. I think this is the very big dream that comes true. So, so I would recommend a lot of celebration in this process. And last but not least, thank you so much, everyone, for attending the webinar today. I hope that I can bring some value to you. And if you do have any questions specifically about the home buying process, please contact me directly. My phone number is 602-515-2442. Thank you. Bye-bye.